Your brain has a strange habit. It creates entire worlds that don't exist, arguments you replay for years, lives you imagine living, moments so emotional they make you smile or even cry, all inside your head. And there's a psychological reason for it. Almost everyone does this at some point, but most people never talk about it. So when it happens to you, it feels like you're the only one living inside these imaginary moments. Sometimes it happens in the middle of an ordinary day. You sit down to study, you open a book, you read the first line, then a thought appears, a memory, a possibility, a small what if. Suddenly, your mind drifts somewhere else. 10 minutes pass, maybe 30, sometimes even an hour. And when you finally return to reality, you realize you never even read the page. Other times, it's conversations that will probably never happen. You imagine explaining yourself, telling someone how you really feel, or finally saying something you've kept inside for years. In your mind, the words come out perfectly. You feel understood, respected, seen. But outside your thoughts, the conversation never takes place. Sometimes the scenarios become even bigger. You don't just imagine one moment, you build an entire life, a different version of yourself, a different future. Maybe you're successful, maybe you're famous, maybe you're with someone you've never even met in real life, your favorite singer, a celebrity you've always admired. In your mind, you know each other. You talk, you laugh, you build a life together. And for a moment, it feels strangely real. In that imagined world, you become the person you wish you could be. But it doesn't always go in a happy direction. Sometimes your mind imagines the worst. You imagine losing someone you love. You imagine a disaster. You imagine something terrible happening. And suddenly your chest feels heavy. Your eyes fill with tears. Your body reacts as if it actually happened, even though nothing has. Because your brain doesn't always know the difference between a real emotion and an imagined one. Sometimes these stories become so vivid, they leak into real life. You might suddenly smile or cry while walking alone or sitting in class or meeting. Everyone else is talking, listening, working. But inside your head, something completely different is happening. You're imagining a moment, a conversation, a funny situation. You quietly laugh at something inside your head. Someone nearby notices, and for a moment you feel slightly embarrassed because they have no idea what just happened. They can't see the entire story your mind just created. Nighttime is when it happens the most. You turn off the lights, you lie in bed, the room is quiet, and your mind begins building stories. Sometimes they're comforting. You imagine a future where everything works out. You imagine happy moments, perfect conversations, moments where life finally makes sense. But sometimes the stories go in the opposite direction. Old memories, things you regret saying, things you wish you had said differently. Sometimes the emotion becomes so strong you cry, not because something actually happened, but because the moment felt real inside your mind. A goodbye that never happened, a conversation that never took place, a future that doesn't exist, and yet the emotion is real. So what exactly is happening here? Most people would call this daydreaming, but what you're doing is something deeper than that. Your brain is building simulations, detailed emotional scenarios, almost like practice rounds for life. Inside your brain is a system psychologists call the default mode network. This system becomes active when you're not focused on the outside world, when you're showering, walking, driving, or lying awake at night. For some people, this system becomes very active. Instead of random thoughts, it starts building entire mental worlds. Psychologists call this counterfactual thinking. Your brain is exploring alternate versions of reality. What if I said this? What if this happens? What if everything goes wrong? Your brain is constantly trying to predict the future. It's trying to prepare you. Think of it like a flight simulator. Before pilots fly a real plane, they train in simulations. Your brain does something very similar. It runs different scenarios so you know how to respond. You're rehearsing conversations, preparing for conflict. trying to understand the past and preparing for the future. But sometimes the simulation becomes something else. Sometimes it becomes a replacement. You imagine the conversation so many times that you never actually have it. You imagine success so vividly that taking real action feels less urgent. You replay painful memories so often that the pain never really leaves. The tool that was meant to prepare you slowly becomes a place you escape to. And there's another powerful reason your mind does this: control. In real life, you can't control how people respond to you. You can't rewind time. You can't redo mistakes. But inside your mind, everything is different. You're the writer. You're the director. You're the actor. You get to say the perfect words. You get to be understood. You get to win. And if you've spent parts of your life feeling ignored, misunderstood, or powerless, those imagined moments can feel incredibly satisfying. For a moment, you finally feel in control. But spending too much time there has a cost, because slowly something begins to happen. The line between your inner world and real life becomes blurry. You feel angry at someone for something they never actually said. You feel disappointed when reality doesn't follow the script you imagined. And little by little, reality begins to feel harder. Because reality is messy, it's unpredictable, and it doesn't follow scripts. So how do you deal with this? The answer is not forcing your mind to stop, and it's definitely not blaming yourself. Instead, you learn how to work with your mind. First, take the scenario out of your head. Write it down. Not to analyze every detail, just to give the thought somewhere to exist outside your mind. Psychologists call this expressive writing. Your brain repeats thoughts when something feels unfinished. Once the thought exists on paper, the loop often slows down. Second, ask yourself a simple question. Is this scenario helping me prepare or helping me avoid? If you're imagining a difficult conversation and then actually having it later, that's preparation. But if you're imagining it again and again while never taking action, that's avoidance. Learning to recognize the difference is powerful. Third, give your thoughts boundaries. Let yourself think about the scenario for a few minutes, then gently bring your attention back to the present moment. Over time, your brain learns something important. These scenarios are tools, not places to live. And when you notice your mind drifting too far, pause for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground. Take a slow breath. Look at something real in front of you. Your brain reconnects with the present moment. Here's a simple way to think about it. Your mind is like a river. Thoughts are the current. Sometimes the water is calm. Sometimes it's fast and overwhelming. You can't stop the river from flowing, but you don't have to be carried away by it. You can sit on the bank, watch it pass, and then continue walking your own path. Those imagined scenarios will probably always exist. That's not the problem. The problem is forgetting what they were meant to be. They were never meant to replace your life. They were meant to help you understand it. Maybe you've spent years visiting those imagined worlds. Maybe some of them comforted you when reality didn't, and that's okay. But they were always just rehearsals. Your real life is still here, unpredictable, unscripted, sometimes messy, but real. And sometimes that's exactly what makes it worth living.